Game 4, here goes.
In order to provide the best in animal care, it's really important to allow animals to be able to express their natural behaviors.
Behavioral husbandry is basically animal training, animal enrichment, and animal welfare. Enrichment allows animals to perform natural behaviors and act in a natural way.
We try to provide opportunities for our animals to do things in their environment that reflect what they do in the wild. So literally providing choices is providing them an opportunity to do what they do naturally.
At Disney's Animal Kingdom, the types of behaviors that we're encouraging with enrichment would be behaviors such as foraging, playing, digging, hiding, scent marking, anything that they would be naturally doing out in the wild.
That's just enhances the experience for the guest, and I think really makes that connection between the guest and our animals, and that's really kind of the subplot of our park. It's about connecting people with animals and hopefully encouraging them to act for the welfare of animals once they leave the park.
They can participate if they choose to.
Training allows us to provide for the animals in a better way. We can train an animal to help us with a husbandry procedure. We can train an animal to help us take medical care of them better.
For example, we might be able to train an animal to allow us to draw a blood sample or give a urine sample.
It's less stressful for the animals.
The chute can be squeezed down from all sides. We have doors on the side that let us manipulate different parts of their body.
The benefit of chute training is it helps with non-invasive veterinary procedures. In this situation, the animal is conditioned to different types of stressful situations and knows that it's going to be rewarded for good behavior or calm behavior. It definitely works to their benefit.
In order to make the behavioral husbandry program a success, it really takes everybody, everything from our highest levels of management.
Our vet staff, they're the ones that provide us with the behaviors and things that they would need for the annual physicals. Our horticulture team, some animals again don't like produce or tactile, but they like browse. So our horticulture team is also very helpful, so it's a whole team effort.
We need everybody.
All the animals are the focus of the behavioral husbandry program. The programs may look a little bit different, but each receives the same amount as attention.
Hey, monkeys.
So training provides a context for us to take care of them in a way that reduces their stress, increases their activity level, and makes them a partner with us in how we're caring for them.
When we've set up an exhibit for an animal and we've provided them with various enrichment items, to see them interact with them is the reason why you get up to come to work the next day. Our quality of work is their quality of life. When we're talking about behavioral husbandry with Disney's animal programs, we're talking about all of the animals in the collection. Whether you're talking about the big megavertebrates, the elephants, the rhinos, the primates that we have, the birds, the reptiles, the fishes. Truly what we're looking for is designing these programs to meet both the species needs, but also individual animals' needs.
All the enrichment starts with talking about the natural history of the animals
And based on what they do in the wild, what are their natural behaviors, then that gives us leads about the kind of enrichment we should give them. Because what we're trying to do is get them to do what they would naturally do. So for mandrills, which are big foraging animals, they're omnivores, they eat everything, and they'll spend most of their day going through leaf litter, going up in trees, finding whatever food they can possibly find. So for the mandrills, we hide a lot of food in hay, but then we also will do things like hide food inside spools, and this might be like finding a log in the wild, and they'll have to pull the log apart or turn it around so that the food falls out. And then we do that same thing with things like simple things like gas cans, which work extremely well for the mandrills. Good thing too, also we make these little wire mesh forage boards, and we fill them with various hay and substrate, and all we have to do is put a little bit of food inside them, and it drops down through the hay, and they will spend quite a bit of time pulling the hay out and trying to move those items to the side in order to get them to eat. They'll also go after like insects in the wild, ants and things like that that might be in the side of a log. And so we'll smear stuff inside all these little crevices on these smear boards, just like that. And again, they'll spend a lot of time doing what mandrills do, which is looking for food and finding food. So we try to put the food in lots of different places, lots of different items, so that the dominant animal doesn't get all the food, and also so that the younger animals get their fair share and don't get pushed off of food. And sometimes we do some fun things too. There aren't too many natural frozen ice cubes in the wild, but it's a nice way to change up their part of their diet, which is some fruit. And instead of just giving them grapes, especially in the hot Florida summer. When we watch the animals do their enrichment, it's very much keeper enrichment as well, because they so enjoy looking for food and being mandrills. And that's when we know we're successful. And it's so much fun for us to watch them being mandrills and not just pulling food out of a dish somewhere, but actually spending a lot of time finding their food and running around. So it's good keeper enrichment.
For many animals, most of their day is spent searching and acquiring food. We are always looking for new ways to present food items to our animals to encourage species-appropriate feeding behaviors.
When you think of enrichment for these guys, we think of things that we can make or do to make their environment and their lives richer, more fuller, more rewarding. The things that we think of are health. We want to make sure the animals are healthy. We want to make sure that we provide for all their needs as far as food and shelter. We also want to remember that these guys are thinkers just like we are. So we want to provide for that mental stimulation as well.
Yeah, we have a pretty elaborate horticulture plan and pretty elaborately planted exhibit. And a lot of that is there strategically for a purpose to replicate what it would look like where the elephants normally range. But there are times where we actually put what we call sacrificial plants out there that we know the elephants are going to get at, that are going to destroy, they're going to ruin. It's something that we encourage. It's something that's important for us to let the elephants do. And so we continue to do it on a pretty regular basis. Well, the elephants use them for a multitude of things. They use them as a toy to occupy themselves, something to push over and destroy. They also use them for grooming. They use them to scratch on. They'll go mud up in the mud wallow, get a good mud cake going on their backs and skin. They'll walk over and scratch on them to kind of help exfoliate that dead skin, which is something their wild counterparts will do daily. And then, obviously, once those trees are knocked down where they can reach all the foliage and things, they obviously use them as a food source. Just a little bit of time and effort, and all these things just start to come out naturally again, which is nice.
Gerenuk is a very unique antelope in that it can stand perfectly straight up and down. So what we do is we use browse, one of their favorite, which is willow, and we'll put it high in a tree, and basically they will stand up, and when most animals lean forward, their hips basically have them standing perfectly erect. So in just how we put that in the tree, that is how it's placed in the exhibit, enables our guests to see them doing that natural stance that they do, and it enables them to reach a little higher up in the trees than other animals that are naturally its height. They're like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, that is different. So very unique.
Our behavioral training is really focused primarily on helping animals be healthy and active.
What that means is that we are teaching the animals to cooperate with us so we can take care of them better.
Good job. It's hard to do something with your mouth. Let's see what you do.
So for example, we can train them to present different body parts for inspection in case they have any injuries. We want to be able to get a good look at them. We can also train them to help us out with certain procedures that might help in the event of an illness or an injury. So for example, we can actually give these monkeys injections with anesthetic agents. It keeps them very calm.
We can actually train animals to do behaviors that can help us with their day-to-day care, whether it's stepping onto a scale or into a crate, to other behaviors that could help us in a medical way.
So the basic cue for the animals to come in is really right now the door opening. As you can see, she responds very well. The back door closes behind her. She comes right to the reward, hopefully. Where she's standing, there's a scale. So we're able to take weights whenever we need to, just as long as they're in the right position. Right now, Dan's just going to do some basic head and neck tactile or touching, try to desensitize the animal, and at the same time rewarding. I'm going to close the back door behind her. So now she has a restricted amount of space that she has to move back and forth. And then from here, we can push the side squeeze in, which further restricts her movement. And that gives us a platform we can work from.
Fish can be trained so many things, and it's actually very new to everything that we do here. Right now, we have some fish that are trained to station, to come up to a particular location in their environment.
We started training our cobia here at the Living Seas because cobia are known to be voracious eaters. They eat anything and everything they can find. Our cobia were getting extremely overweight, and it was making their eyes actually kind of pop out a little. So we decided that we would target train them to try to keep them away from some of the other food that we've been throwing out in the tank. So far, it seems to be working. Our cobia look much better, they're a lot slimmer, and their eyes are actually starting to adjust back into their head a little. By target training like this, we can actually decide exactly what they eat so they don't overeat every day. We can also give them vitamins by doing this. And we actually have a really skinny cobia that I can actually feed fattier foods to when she comes up. We made a target stick and we just started making a lot of noise and trying to feed them a lot when they would first come over to it. Once they kind of got the idea that the stick in the water meant food, it was a lot easier to just feed them kind of what we wanted to feed them instead of overfeeding them. They just come right over and they know it's feeding time. That's it.